Okay, off the topic of prepping and survival. We're going to do UFOs. I spent a lot of time on this. I am not going to debate landings, reports, any of that crap. I don't give a shit about the first people to report it. I think it was the Browns or a husband and wife, whatever the hell it was. I read about all of it, and I don't think it's significant. I don't think that you have to depend on someone else's word to believe in anything. You either believe in it or you don't. So I was asked to do this, and I'm going to do it. I do have other prepper stuff to do, but for now, we'll just take a step away, because the freaking podcast I did on ghost hunting is the second highest reviewed and watched podcast that I did. So we'll take a 90-degree turn here and go over some UFO crap. Before I go any further, like and subscribe. That's all I'm going to say. I want a little bit of love for getting the pictures together with Mulder and Scully. You'll see that one has Mulder, one has Scully. You'll see which ones they're assigned to. I want a little bit of love for finding the intro music. I found a non-copyrighted version of it, and we're using it. That's what you listen to when you open the podcast. And I just want to be frank. I think the graphics came out great. You can blow those things up full screen. If anybody wants a link for either one of them, you know where to email me. The pictures are incredible quality, and the bigger it gets, the more they actually look like Mulder and Scully. My understanding is there's just enough distortion or changing of the facial features that we're not using the actual images, and it can be used legally as long as you don't mention their names, or so. I don't know what the crap is, but I know the way I have it, it's legal. First argument is going to be for why UFOs do exist, and I personally do believe in UFOs. I don't necessarily believe in the little green men or the grays or whatever the hell they're throwing out there nowadays. However, the universe is just too damn big. There's no way we're the only ones living in the universe, and I don't necessarily buy into that crap where the rest of the universe is nothing but one-celled creatures and blah, blah, blah. So let's get into this. I really wish I had somebody else here today to debate me on this, because I'm ready to go. But let's see what happens here. Why UFOs do exist. When people hear the term UFO, many immediately think of aliens, flying saucers, and science fiction movies. And let's be honest, most people do. This reaction is understandable because popular culture has linked UFOs with extraterrestrial, what a word, beings for decades. However, the original and correct meaning of UFO is much simpler. It just stands for unidentified flying object. It does not automatically mean aliens or spacecraft from another planet. It simply means something seen in the sky that cannot be immediately explained. I swear to God, if my cat tears up this carpet anymore, I swear to God she's going out in the snow. Back to the podcast. The subject of this podcast today is not that aliens are proven to be visiting Earth, but the unexplained objects and phenomena in the sky have been observed, recorded, and acknowledged by credible sources. Given the limits of humankind, knowledge, technology, and perception, it is reasonable and even expected that some objects remain unidentified. In that sense, UFOs are real. They think, therefore they am, or something to that effect. I think I actually got that from the Three Stooges. I think, therefore they am, or I don't know. But some objects remain unidentified. In that sense, UFOs are definitely real. I just had to say that again. I need you to understand, not everything has been identified, and we'll get into that. Are they flown by little green men? Perhaps. I doubt it, perhaps. But until one lands in my yard, Marvin the Martian gets out and asks for directions, I choose to be flexible on what color they are, their size, and whether or not they eat pizza or humans. I'm nothing. I've seen nothing, read nothing, and understand no reason why they would have to be green. I don't know where this shit comes from. For the record, the newer, more commonly used term is UAP, which stands for Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. Why can't we just make this shit simple? I don't get it. Why do we got to make these things so crazy. And then there's also another one. I think Europeans are using unidentified anomalous phenomena. Yeah, you can kiss my ass, Europe. It's picking up momentum, and it's what the government started using during the Biden administration. And there it is. Got to do something different. When we open the gates and let 3, 10, 20 million illegals in, we're going to change UFO also. I know it was at the top of their list. UFO and let the aliens in. Different kind of aliens, but aliens. It's all linked, the alien shit, you know. No, I'm not wrapping aluminum foil around my head just yet. I was trying to be funny. Biden's government and scientists prefer UAP because it avoids the sci-fi and alien stigma attached to UFO. It includes more than just objects like radar signals, and atmospheric effects. So did UFO, but let's go on. It sounds more neutral and scientific. Man, Biden's people blow. I don't care. The issue here is I will always call them, if they do indeed exist, UFOs. I refuse to use the acronym UAP. The term UAP was generated to sound more scientific and neutral by Biden's pronoun-loving scientists. I mean, really, we had to go as far as to repronoun UFOs. Biden's best people for the job probably spent billions coming up with the name UAP. This is the same government that has allocated millions of dollars in funding for LGBTQI and advocacy, health, and economic programs across Latin America and the Caribbean, totaling tens of millions of dollars in regional aid. How many homeless and veterans could that have fed? I mean, honest to God, how many homeless people could we have fed with that millions of dollars instead of justifying drag queens in Venezuela? Man, for those of you that aren't on board yet, stick around, because some of the podcasts coming up in the future are going to tell you what Biden did. It will be all true, and not necessarily Biden, but the people pulling the strings. Biden was a damn puppet. The strings that were pulled so tight they probably snapped. AutoPen. You don't need to hear anything else in AutoPen. I'm getting off subject. Let's get back to it. Now, the same people that want to spend billions of dollars to go to Mars, what for? I mean, these people that gotta justify drag queens in Venezuela also want to spend billions, if not trillions of dollars to go to Mars. What for? To look for evidence of drag queens on the surface, maybe? Or justify drag queens on the surface of Mars? Come on. Everyone knows the drag queens live below the surface of Mars. Boom. I just saved the government billions. I realize this sounds stupid, but the useless quest for rocks in space is part of our $6 trillion deficit. I've decided that UFO and UAP are both acronyms and pronouns. If you're not following, an acronym is a word created out of the abbreviated letters when put together in that correct order. I refuse to use pronouns to begin with. Next to blue and purple-haired idiots will be wanting to gender and assign their UAPs because of the color they generate. Not on my fucking watch. They're UFOs. Just like a greeting at Christmas is still Merry Christmas, and men in dresses are still just men in dresses. They are not women. If this offends you, I wish you a very late Merry Christmas and go eat a bug. Back to more solid ground. What UFO really means. To understand why UFOs exist, it is important to clarify and define the term. A UFO is any object seen in the sky that the observer cannot identify at the time of observation. This could be a light, a shape, or a moving object that does not match anything familiar, such as airplanes, helicopters, drones, birds, or weather balloons. Start paying attention to the words I put emphasis on. Because people around the world look at the sky every day with the naked eye, cameras, radar systems, satellites, it's not the same observation and cannot be immediately identified. This alone makes the existence of UFOs reasonable. That's right, I'm not saying it's from outer space. Sometimes it's just unidentified flying fucking objects. However, I do believe in UFOs. Let's go on. Human limits in observation and understanding. Humans have had limits when it comes to perception and knowledge. Our eyes can only see a small portion of the light spectrum, which is true, and our brains can misinterpret what we see. This is true, especially at great distances or higher speeds. Objects seen at night, through clouds, or unusual angles can appear very different from what they really are. And I'm going to drop another perception is a framework of reality in right here. In addition, not everyone observing the sky is a trained expert. Pilots, soldiers, and scientists may have advanced training, but even they can encounter situations where known explanations do not fit what they are observing. Speed, size, distance, and movement can be difficult to judge accurately in the sky, making identification challenging. This is true. I can tell you, we spent a lot of time training to look at like helicopters and aircraft to know if they were friend or foe. And you would be surprised how many times you get it wrong. You can know everything about a helicopter. You can know the sound of the helicopter. You can know everything about it, and you can say, oh, no, that's Apache coming over. It's Apache coming from behind. And you turn around, and they tell you, nope, it was the sound of a Hind D coming in. You just got tore up. Fucking Russians. Because of these limitations, it is normal that some sightings remain unexplained. This does not mean people are lying or imagining things. It means that human observation is imperfect. Perception is the framework of reality. If this only were for liberal Democrats, how cool would it be for us if, because they dye their hair blue or purple, we could not see or hear them? Stay aboard. You'll hear what I get. You'll get the meaning of this. Somehow they would be out of our recognizable light spectrum, and just for shits and giggles, let's say it would include the sounds they make. Let's take it one step further and say when the Democrat politicians put on their blue lapel pin, it would also render them invisible and silent. I'm going to run and order some blue lapel pins if this would ever happen, just so you know. Let's be honest. Dumber shit has happened. If a 250-pound hairy man can go lay out on the beach to tan in a bikini and call himself a woman, Democrats can disappear because of a blue lapel pin as far as I'm concerned. I'm so sick of this cross-dresser shit. Advanced technology and secret projects. Another strong reason why UFOs exist is the presence of advanced and often secret technology. Governments and private companies regularly test new aircraft, drones, and experimental vehicles. Many of these projects are classified, meaning the public does not have the privilege to know about them, which I could give a shit if I know about it or not. When someone sees an aircraft using unfamiliar technology, usually shapes or unexpected flight patterns, they may not have the information needed to identify it. As a result, the object remains unidentified. Hence UFO, hence perception is a framework of reality. History shows many examples where mysterious sightings were later explained as secret military projects once information became public. Until that point, these sightings were genuine UFOs. Since the government continues to develop new technology, it's reasonable to expect that unexplainable sightings will continue as well. Natural phenomena that are not fully understood. Nature itself can... I'm sorry, I typed this out before I'm doing it. I'm going to start doing that from now on. I'm going to type it out. I'm going to drink an energy drink, and I'm going to crank out a podcast. This is all information I got from researching. I didn't cheat or copy and paste. I am a 4.0 student in school. I have wonderful grammatical patterns on paper. Not necessarily while I speak, but when I type it out, it looks really good. I did ask ChatGPT one question, and it scared the shit out of me because the answer came back so quick it was like it knew what I was thinking. So I don't use ChatGPT a lot. It just scares me. I use ChatGPT to generate the pictures for the podcasts, but as far as research, I just do regular hardcore research. Now, I have no doubt that ChatGPT might steal some of this stuff, but if you listen to it and you know me, you understand that this really is me typing. So, back to the podcast. Nature itself can produce strange and unfamiliar sightings in the sky. Atmospheric phenomena such as cloud formations, electrical discharges, reflections of light, and rare weather events can all appear mysterious to observers. Some natural events are not yet fully understood or extremely rare, meaning most people have never seen them before. When these events occur, they can easily be mistaken for objects or craft. Even scientists sometimes struggle to explain new or uncommon natural phenomena right away. Because the natural world is complex and still being studied, it is reasonable that some sky sightings remain unexplained for long periods of time. Now, here's where I'm going to call bullshit. This is where they're naming UFOs, weather balloons or I'll give you an example. Ball lightning. I call bullshit on ball lightning. Moving on. Official acknowledgement of unidentified objects. I'm going to say unidentified flying objects. I forgot to put flying objects in there. In recent years, government and official organizations have openly acknowledged the existence of UFOs, aerial phenomena, and often terming them UAPs. This change in wording helps reduce stigma and confusion associated with the term UFO. I disagree. When official agencies state that some observed objects cannot be identified with available data, they are confirming the basic idea that UFOs exist. You heard it here. That's right. UFOs do exist. Not necessarily little green men, but UFOs do exist. These acknowledgments do not claim extraterrestrial origins, but they do confirm not everything observed in the sky can be explained. This official recognition adds credibility to the idea that UFOs are not just myths or fantasies, but real observations that deserve study. That's right, baby. Tic-tac and gimbal all the way. If you don't know what tic-tac and gimbal are, I did put links in the description of the podcast. I highly recommend watching them. I trust the pilot that was recorded in Congress and during an interview. This guy drove a $16 billion fighter jet. There's no reason, he has no reason to lie. He's already a superstar in my world. Okay, my personal favorite reason for UFOs to exist. The vastness of the universe. Big universe, small craft. Get it? Well, this podcast would never claim proof of alien visitation. It's worth mentioning the size of the universe. Space is unimaginably large, containing billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars and potentially habitable planets. In more layman's terms, where I come from, it's fucking huge or ginormous. Given this scale, being ginormous, many scientists believe it's possible that life exists elsewhere in the universe. Yeah, no shit. This idea alone encourages curiosity and open-mindedness when considering unexplained phenomena. While possibility is not proof, it supports the idea that should continue investigation rather than dismissing unexplained observations outright. In conclusion, Thanksgiving. Again, a Barry Goldberg reference. If you haven't seen it, you got to see the Goldberg Thanksgiving show where Barry does his show. You got to see it. Back to the podcast. UFOs do exist, not necessarily as alien spacecraft, but unidentified objects and phenomena observed in the sky. The existence of UFOs is supported by human limitations and observation, advanced and secret technology, natural phenomena that are not fully understood, and official acknowledgments from credible institutions and sources. Believing that UFOs exist does not require belief in science fiction stories or conspiracy theories. It simply requires accepting that humans do not yet have complete knowledge of everything in the sky or universe. And that's just our universe. Go back to the billions of universes. As long as people continue to observe the world with curiosity and honesty, there will always be things that remain unidentified. In that sense, UFOs are not only real, they're expected at this point. Allow me, if you will, to break it down to my understanding and belief system, not yours, but mine. Little green men, perhaps, but doubtful. Lights in the sky that are special, and I say special in air quotes, cousin Melvin points at, jumps up and down, shits his pants, and throws his pudding cup at the barn door when he sees a UFO. Definitely believe it's going to happen. The fact that if a UFO lands in Washington, D.C., meets with President Trump, and Trump holds a press conference, you know he's going to say things like, I met with the aliens and I won't be deporting them. They are not that type of aliens. He'll be saying, they really like me. They say I'm the best and most intelligent human on Earth. Definitely going to do that. And then he's going to tell us his approval rating with the aliens is off the chart. Yeah, I think that one more than anything. Again, I'm going to reference Tic Tac and Gimbal. If you don't know what they are, watch the videos. If nothing else convinces you, the flight trajectory and the movement of Gimbal especially just blew my mind. If you don't know anything about flight and aerodynamics, it's impossible to do a 90-degree turn at speed. These things were traveling incredibly fast and were making 90-degree turns. They were accelerating at speeds nothing made on this planet can even come used to, and that's even invoking conspiracy theories and high-speed jets. We have nothing that can do what these two UFOs did. The situation does, however, make me wonder why the government is now somewhat suddenly confirming that UFOs exist. Yeah, definitely suspicious. All right, that's the end of this one. I will be doing a podcast that is the argument for UFOs not existing. Of course, some of it will have my opinion in it, so just go with it. That should be dropping maybe tonight or tomorrow. I have to finish typing it up. I have done a ton of research on UFOs to put this thing together. Again, I'm not going to cite certain cases. I feel sometimes that there's too much testimony out there and it's too much to decipher what's real and what's not, no matter how good the testimony is. You need to choose what you believe and what you don't believe in, and there's nothing wrong with believing UFOs don't exist. But you've got a very narrow mindset if you believe that. It means you cannot understand the vastness of space. It means you cannot understand that we are not that important, that we are the only creatures in space. About 500 years ago, maybe even 700 years ago, the Vatican still believed the sun rotated around the earth, that we were the center of the universe, and everything else, we were the center of everything. And boy, were they wrong. I mean, they were off by a long shot. You know, the greatest scientific minds in the world believed we were the center of the universe and everything rotated around us. And the people that told them that wasn't true were put to death or jailed as heretics. And they were right all along. So we got that wrong. We got a lot wrong. Even though that was their perception of reality, their perception was wrong. I am not so arrogant to say my perception is better or more realistic than anyone else's. I'm just stating what I think, and based on the information I've heard, this was my conclusion, that UFOs do exist. I don't think we're going to see them. I don't think they're going to land in the backyard. I think you got a better chance of Doctor Who landing in your backyard with a TARDIS. Wow, I'm geeking out here. I'm just going to go back to the podcast. Listen, that's your decision whether they exist or not. Like I said, I'm going to try to get the other one out maybe tonight, more like tomorrow. You guys watch your six. Peace out.